Hey, what's up, everyone? Back for this Saturday slate. We got a monster slate for tonight. We have 3, 6, 9 games tonight, tipping off at 7 o'clock. So let's get started. You can drop a like down below, subscribe if you have not already. Try to get 150 likes at least on the video. So starting off here at point guard, it's Harden and LeBron, two highest priced guys facing off against each other. I think LeBron looks good if Davis misses here in this pace-up spot against Houston. They play no defense. You don't need to get to James Harden either, just because Westbrook's in, and it's a tough defensive team against the Lakers. Scroll down a little bit, you get Trey Young and Westbrook. I don't really want to pay over $10K for Trey Young. I think Westbrook looks decent, but there's just a couple of point guards right here that I like a lot, and it's Damian Lillard at 8,200 is too cheap for him. Draftkings obviously made all these salaries before the before the game last night, so with McCollum hurting his ankle, unlikely to play tonight, it's going to be Damian Lillard. Gets a huge boost in just ball handling and shot attempts and just production here. He was dealing with a little bit of an illness, but still pushed 40 minutes and was still very productive, and his minutes are going to continue to be high, and his production should even be higher without CJ McCollum for a full game. And then I love De'Aaron Fox here again, 8,100. It's a tough matchup. I hope people don't play him because of the matchup. But his minutes are so high right now that it's easy for him to make value. His price tag is still low at 8,100 for how well he's been playing. When he came back from his ankle injury, we were seeing him get like 30, 32 minutes. But lately, they've been giving him 36 to 38 minutes, which just gives him a huge floor and a awesome ceiling. Even though Bogdanovic is expected to be back, that should just take Corey Joseph out, and Bogdanovic missed a bunch of times, I missed quite a few games, I believe, so he might be on a limit. But either way, Fox looks great. I mean, he put up 56 fantasy points, even though he missed 6 free throws, so he could have easily had a 60-burger again. And Lowry looks decent, but with Van Fleet back, expected to be back, I don't think you need to go there. And then Mitchell looks fine at 76. And then for value here at point guard, it's Markelle Fultz, 62. Schroeder, 6,400. And then for a punt value, and also Burks would be in play if Glenn Robinson misses and he jumps into the starting lineup. And then the value play is going to be Simons here at just 3,100 is too cheap to ignore on DraftKings. But going to start it off here with Damian Lillard. He's just too cheap. I would expect to have at least three Blazers in my lineup tonight. Just without McCollum, there's so much usage, and they're already playing a very thin rotation, and the prices are very cheap on all their players. At shooting guard at the top, I'm liking Russell at 74, Mitchell 76. In this range, it's a tough matchup for Buddy Hield, but he's not been very good shooting the 3-ball, but he's still going to get the minutes. Bogdanovic coming back will limit his minutes a little bit. Not really limit, but he might get 34, 35 instead of 37, 38. But he's still cheap enough where he can make value. I like Dennis Schroeder, 64. I like Fournier quite a bit, 59. The game was a blowout against the Clippers, so he only saw 30 minutes. He missed his last rotation. Probably would have played 37, 38 like he's been playing, and it was a tough matchup against him, and now we get a completely opposite matchup here against the Warriors. I think at 59 he has 40-point upside, high 30-point upside, just a high floor for him. And Joe Ingles is cheap as well, 5,500. Yeah, like I said, I like Alec Burks if Glenn Robinson misses and he jumps into the starting lineup. But at this price, I'm going to go, at this position, Simons, too cheap, 31. I expect him to start alongside Lillard. He played very well. Well, in terms of fantasy, not in terms of overall, but he put up 23 fantasy points at 3,300. Now his price tag is down to 31. It's just a really easy spot to get to. Small forward, it's going to be, considering Tobias, 76. I like Gallinari at 6,600. Playing really well as of late. He's a streaky shooter, so right now his shots are falling, especially from distance. Overall, he's just a really good shooter. So whenever he gets some minutes, you feel pretty good about him. And this matchup, a great matchup against Portland. Anytime I get a player against Carmelo Anthony, I feel great about it because Anthony doesn't play defense at all. So Gallinari should have open looks all night. Really good spot for Gallo at 66. And then I think you could even play Carmelo at 63. He's just going to get more usage without McCollum. Still at a good price point. Fournier looks fine. Ingles, like I mentioned. And then for value here, you could take a chance on one of these Suns players, Bridges or Sarge, but it's a tough matchup. And that's kind of it. We'll skip over small forward for this video. Power forward, I'm looking at DeAndre Ayton at 8,000. He got the start last game against the Knicks and played very well. He should get the start again tonight after how well he played. The minutes should be up there. And it's not a terrible matchup against Boston. They're a good defensive team, but you could still have his success against them with the center position, with rebounding the basketball. They don't have like a lot of size there with Tice, and Canner is not a great defender. So I think Ayton at 8,000, you're getting a center at power forward. That's always valuable. And then with like Kevin Love, Julius Randle, similar price points, they make for decent pivots. Mentioned Gallinari at 66, like him. I like Gordon, 64. And then for under 5,000, it would probably be whoever starts here. If Pascal starts, you could go to him. But the Warriors aren't thin on bodies. They do have a lot of players, even though Draymond is going to miss tonight. And we've seen Kevin Love rest on the second half. He rested last game on a back-to-back. So if he does rest again, then Larry Nance at 3,600 would be a pretty good play, assuming he starts for him. But right now, I think Ayton is still a good price. Still a good play at 8K, just because he's going to be starting, and hopefully he gets going now after that big game. He still has a solid floor, just because he's a center. He's great chance to get a double-double. And without Kelly Oubre, there's a lot of usage to go around. At center, I think Vucevic looks great at 8,300. I like Gobert at 81. Has a huge mismatch here against the Kings. They might bring back Dedmon just to match up to Gobert for size here, but Dedmon's kind of been out of the rotation. If they don't do that, then he's going to be able to feast on Marvin Bagley playing the center. You're going to have Giles playing the center, so it's a great spot for Gobert. But Whiteside is down to 7,900. Is another spot where, like I said, the prices on these Blazers are too cheap. He's too cheap, 79 against OKC's with no McCollum. He's just gonna get a double-double, gonna play 30, 35, 36 minutes here. If Adams is back, then it's not a terrible spot just because he's gonna be out there to defend him and for size. And just a great spot for a guy that's been crushing it this year. Give him minutes, he's productive, and he should get the minutes tonight. And then at guard here, I think I'll probably go back to Fox at 81. Just mentioned him earlier on in the video. The minutes are up. The production is at an all-time high. The Kings are playing super fast ever since Fox has come back from his injury. The last 2 weeks are playing at like a top 5 pace here. And it's not a great matchup against Utah, but they can still have some success there, especially against a team that plays fast like the Kings. We saw the Pelicans be able to have some success against them last game out, and it is in Utah, which is not ideal, but I still think Fox can keep this game close. And then utility, I think the one Warriors that I do like quite a bit is a really cheap player, and that's Willie Cauley-Stein at 3,700. He's a great point per dollar play. We've seen his price not move. It was above 4K, and then it dropped under 4K the last 2 games. Just too cheap here. He's going to start again at center. He started last game to defend with Jokic and played 33 minutes. He's going to play probably 30 minutes again without Draymond there. And, I mean, he could play like 28 minutes, but he should see high 20s in minutes at least. With the size here of the Magic, they're not going to start Spellman at center for a game like this against Vucevic. So Cauley-Stein at 3,700, just too cheap to ignore. And then on Fanduel here, touch on the plays. Fanduel prices has been ridiculous. Just they don't move the prices on players that should be moved. They keep them at the same price for many games so that they're going to be 65, 70% owned. Like, perfect example, just as you just look through the prices, you can tell. Like, Ricky Rubio coming off of a 65-point fantasy score. His price tag is the same at 6,300 where it was last game out. They didn't move any of these players. Markelle Fultz is still 54. Satoransky still 48. Kemba is still only 7K. Even Fox and Lillard are still cheap. So, I think in tournaments it makes sense to get off of these plays, get off of some of the chalk. Like Rubio, I think it's hard not to play, but I don't mind not playing him just because last game he had like one of his best career shooting games ever. He made like 3 of 5 3-pointers, 10 of 18 from the floor. Guy that's shooting, I believe, under 40%, made a high percentage of his shots. And he also got 15 fantasy points from blocks and steals. And now it's a completely different matchup here against the Celtics. And also, Devin Booker was in foul trouble, so he only saw 28 minutes. So there are reasons not to play Ricky Rubio if you want to, just because he's probably going to be super popular. But I still think Lillard is tough to ignore here. Under 9,000 on Fanduel without McCollum. Just has all the upside in the world in a spot like this. At shooting guard, another perfect example of how bad the pricing has been. We saw Donovan Mitchell match his career high with 46 real-life points, and they did not move his price tag at all. Still the same price at 66. It's just lazy pricing. But he's still at 66, and then you got Hield and Fournier, both nice plays. I think Fournier is a better play just with the matchup against the Warriors. And even got Dennis Schroeder I don't mind playing just because he plays starter minutes coming off the bench with a high usage rate. And then Damian Lee looks fine at 4,900 as well. But at this play, it's, Donovan Mitchell is a completely different play than, at shooting guard than Ricky Rubio is at point guard. I think Donovan Mitchell is tough not to play at 66. He's just plays a lot in close games, high floor, high ceiling, and it's at home as well. So, and against a fast-paced team, tough to ignore on Donovan Mitchell. It's impossible to ignore that price. At small forward, I think Siakam is okay at 76. Now that they're all healthy, and they started Siakam at the 3, which means less rebounds, as we saw only 2 rebounds and 4 rebounds the 2 games that he started at the 3. If he's going to be super popular, I'd just not play him just because, he was super popular yesterday as well. But Tobias looks fine at 68. I think Gallinari looks great at 6,000 here on FanDuel. And then for value, you could play one of these Jazz players, Ingles, Bogdanovich as well. And then Burks if Glenn Robinson misses and he starts. But personally, I think Gallo's in a great spot at 6,000 against Carmelo Anthony. Power forward, I think it's a little bit better priced. This position is a little bit better priced here on FanDuel. But there's still 2 guys that I like a lot, and they're under 6,000. The main 2 are probably Bielitsa at 5,600 without Holmes. Just playing a boatload of minutes. His minutes are secure. He's been solid and steady, contributing. Price tag is still under 6,000. And I like Aaron Gordon as well. He lost just like the whole team lost. His last rotation would have been like 7-8 more minutes due to the blowout. He would have been able to hit value here easily at 5,700. And that if Bagley starts at center, I think he's fine at 51. That's another guy that I would consider. So those 3 kind of stand out a lot at power forward. Right now I'm penciling in Bielitsa, and I think Collins also is pretty interesting at the top at 78. It's pretty cheap, but I like Bielitsa and Gordon just point per dollar wise at this position. And then I won't give you guys a center, but I'll touch on the plays that stick out to me. It's just because we're dealing with some injuries here. Like if Adams is in, I like him a lot at 63. That's really cheap. If Kevin Love sits on a back-to-back, then Tristan Thompson would be tough to ignore at 5,800. And you got Gasol for value at 5K. And then you could even play Cauley-Stein at 4,300, considering doing that if just because he's going to get a lot of minutes at center tonight. So those are the plays if you go cheap. And then if you pay up, it's really for Vucevic, Whiteside, or Drummond for me. Those 3 pay-up options as well. And then, so yeah, that's kind of it for this video. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. You can drop a like if you enjoyed. And good luck tonight.